Hi, and welcome to Season 4 of Beyond Teaching, brought to you by the Psych Sessions Network. This series is hosted by Susan Nolan from Seton Hall University, Adiyinka Akinseler-Smith from City College of New York, City University of New York, Asani Sewell from LGS Legacy Weight Diabetes Institute, and yours truly, Eric Landrum from Boise State University. For now. The Psych Sessions podcast, Beyond Teaching, is all about the teaching, research, and clinical skills that psychological scientists need to know about to be successful. You know, all the survival skills needed to thrive in the academic or clinical workspace beyond your formal graduate school training. All the stuff that we were never taught while we were in the graduate school classroom. For Season 4, we have 12 episodes in store for you, with a weekly release starting July 2022 and delightfully stretching into October 2022, helping you make that transition from summer to fall, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, that is, whether you are on the semester system or the quarter system. What's in store? We'll discuss the importance of staying up to date, helping students with personal statements and sparkbirds, student researchers, what a unionized campus looks like, a peek at the life of adjunct faculty from two different perspectives, interacting with the media, cleaning out your office, and it might not be one of the four of us you thought it would be, saying yes or no, and Maria Banford's advice about that topic, ascension and doctoral versatility, dealing with professorial conflicts, and taking tenure out for a spin, and career sustainability in the face of the great resignation, or what you might call the big quit. In Season 4, we also had guests join us for 3 of the 12 episodes. I'm not going to tell you who or which episodes. That way you'll be curious and you'll want to listen in order to satisfy that natural curiosity that you have. So there. Please enjoy Season 4 of Beyond Teaching. Hi, welcome to another special edition of Beyond Teaching. I'm delighted to be here for a special pairing. I'm Eric Landrum from Boise State University, and for very apparent reasons, I'm going to let my colleague introduce herself.
And I am Yinka Akinseler-Smith with the ever delightful, ever amazing Professor Eric.
And we're giggling about this because in a false start that we recorded and will not be heard, I tried to say Yinka's full name, and although I gave it the college try, it was not university successful. So we
It was a
decided to
good college
start
try.
over. Yeah, but it was maybe a B minus C plus in terms of actual performance. So
Eh, I'd give you an A minus. I'm generous.
you are generous. I'd like to see the rubric if we're going to go too deeply into this.
Ooh, see? Now you gotta go down that path.
Yeah, and here we go. And we're off. See, we have no referees here. You know, Asani and Susan, maybe they're the
Where are they? Oh, yeah, they're not here today.
oh, but I like that you went there. Where are they? Anyway. So when we first got on here before we hit record, Yinka, you asked me a question. I think it's so delightful that let's answer it on this side of the recording.
So my question, as I sit here in my chair in Harlem, New York City, feeling totally exhausted. The semester is over, by the way. I shouldn't be feeling so exhausted. But my question to Eric is, how do you keep doing this? And by that, I'm really kind of speaking of with academia, you go through the struggles. Some people start off as an adjunct and then they rise to or maybe they start off as an instructor and then they rise to the ranks of assistant and you're just kind of chugging along and working hard and you're publishing and you're teaching and you're doing your community service and you get tenure. And then you keep on chugging along with the hopes of associate. And you either rest or you keep chugging along as an insane person until you get to full. And you have full, you're tenured. I think for some people, it's time to sit on their laurels and just kind of hang out. But somehow, that has not been my experience, and I am just feeling exhausted. I've been told by other parties that, "You're full now. You don't have to do a damn thing. Just hang out." But that's not been my experience because I still keep getting asked to do things, whether it's contribute to manuscripts, talks, workshops. It just seems like it's never ending. And so I am asking my esteemed colleague who has been up there for a while to shed some light, give me guidance, give the rest of us guidance. How do you stop? How do you slow down? Do you? Or do you just chill out and just.
And that concludes our podcast for today. Thanks for joining us. No. Well, Yinka, it's very complimentary that you think I have answers to this. And people's careers change over time. More and more people are leaving higher ed and academia after earning their terminal degree because of dissatisfaction, because of
Mm,
being overworked and underpaid simultaneously. But to try to get to the crux of what I think you're talking about, work life balance changes across a person's career, and it definitely is different for men and for women, for minoritized faculty members and for folks in the majority. So I mean, the things that we're going to talk about are not one size fits all. And
mm,
in the end, I'm not going to be giving data informed advice because I don't know that literature well. So let's get all the caveats out there.
mm,
But I think you have to listen to your gut, right? I mean, if you're feeling overwhelmed, you are overwhelmed, and which probably is signaling it's time to reevaluate, what can I stop doing? So the cool
mm,
thing is you're far enough along in your career that you have developed some very valuable expertise and other people are noticing. So this is why you keep getting asked to do all these really cool things. Will you be a consultant on this? Will you be a grant co-author on this? Will you be an expert witness in this trial on this? And they're really cool and you're the first choice, and some of them have stipends and money's a good thing in my
mm,
opinion. At least it's not the root of all evil, so it's a good thing, and you can do things for your family and for yourself and so your community, whatever you want to do with that money. So that's a good thing, but it is all about balance. If you burn yourself out, you won't do things well for yourself or others.
mm. Yeah, and that's absolutely the challenge because sometimes I think I get stuck in, "Oh, well, I don't wanna let this person down," or, and then, of course, it's that, and then people asking favors, but then giving you deadlines that are not necessarily the best. I mean, I'm trying very hard, but sometimes it's just like, ugh, okay.
Yeah, and I think, and I can't cite the study, but I know I've read in the literature where female members get asked more than male faculty members for like service commitments. And I would imagine that you get asked more for favors, more for, would you speak to this group or that group about your expertise or about your experience? And your background, some of your experiences were dealing with folks who had experienced torture and trauma. Is that
Right,
correct?
right.
So that's a really dramatic, important topic. And I can't imagine there's lots of experts in the US that have that experience. And so when people do the Google search on that, that's probably not a long list, which makes you really popular. And so I plus, and this is my personal belief, only good people feel guilt. So when someone asks you, would you please speak at this? Would you please do this? Would you please look at this manuscript? And you don't want to say no because you would feel guilty. But then you're just putting this onus on you that you're going to work longer to not hurt someone else's feelings, but that probably means you're either taking time away from your family or from your kids or from your self care or from a good night's sleep or your favorite museum, or whatever you love to do.
Yeah, inevitably, that is what happens, and it's good to be given that I talk about and do trainings on self-care, it's good to be reminded.
Well,
'Cause
and
every now and then, one slips up and forgets.
well, yeah, we all do. I mean, I can sit here and talk to you about it, but I do the same thing, and I have to remind myself to get out from in front of a screen, whether it's I think we're similar in that we love our work. We love what we do most days. And so I'm not sitting in front of one screen. I'm sitting in front of three screens, right? Because I like being able to multitask. And when I go home, I could easily sit in front of screens, but I need to have hobbies. I need to do other things. But if I'm working from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., I'm not going to have time for hobbies. I'm not going to have
Mhm,
energy for it. And I'm not going to be able to go to work the next day refreshed and ready to go if I
mhm,
do that. And so if I'm burning that midnight oil, I'm just going to burn myself out. And everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but most of our listeners already know this. You're more susceptible to getting sick, and then you're going to be able to work less, and you're going to be more behind. And that's a whole snowball effect.
mhm, mm. What are some of the things you do to take good care of yourself, Eric?
Well, you know, wow. Listeners can't see us and they may not know me, but I don't deprive myself of much. Meaning, although I should be drinking a healthy amount of water, I get most of my water through injections of Diet Mountain Dew. And so rather than stress out about, I should be drinking more water or a balanced amount, I don't stress out about that. I have struggled my entire life with my weight. If you look at pictures from teenagerhood on, I have been heavy in most times. In fact, I'm sure by BMI standards, I am obese to morbidly obese. And at some point a few years ago, I just decided to accept it rather
Mhm,
than to crap on myself and worry about it. And when I feel like trying to diet and eat better, I try to do that. But I just honestly, I started buying bigger clothing and I started
mhm.
buying more comfortable clothing and just tried to accept myself. Maybe that's not healthier, but it's mentally healthier if it's not
Yeah, yeah.
if it's not physically healthier. And I do watch my sleep levels. I don't do well on 4 hours of sleep. I
Mhm,
really don't. I know I need at least 6. I don't need 8 or 9. In fact, I feel groggy if I get 8 or 9, but I need 6. And so,
mhm,
I mean, there are some things that I do. And I need time with my loved ones. It might be texting, it might be face to face. I need to share a meal with them from time to time. It doesn't have to be 3 meals a day every day, but I get cranky when I don't see the people that I love. So I got to make time for them.
yeah.
How about you?
Mhm.
What are the things that you purposely do? I
Mm,
try to do at least.
I, have just reinstated my husband and I just having a night after work where we go and have dinner together, just us. No kids. I mean, our kids are actually at the stage where they don't care about us. They don't wanna be with us anyway. But and we used to do that way back when, so we brought that back in recently, and that's been really nice just the 2 of us hang out and have talk about whatever, whether it's work, whether it's planning, whether it's whatever, we can just do that. I started running years ago, and I do that, although, I go back and forth as much as I do that as to whether I actually like it or not, because I get up very early to do it and get it out of the way, so in certain respects, it's chore-like, but then I feel less guilty, I think, about what I do the rest of the day. I've been trying to bring back some things that I let go, like just I do a lot of books on audio when I'm running or walking, but actually just remembering the joy of sitting with an actual book. Like I like turning pages. So I've been working hard to bring that back into my daily existence, spending time with friends and family too. But just again, like you're saying, the face to face, getting away from the, always being on the screen.
Yeah, and that's getting
Is
easier as COVID is lifting,
yes.
right? I mean, and
Yes.
can if you can't connect face to face physically, over Zoom is a very adequate alternative, especially if you haven't seen someone in 10 years, at least seeing them on the screen is
Yeah.
better than not seeing them at all, whether it's FaceTime or Skype or over something like Zoom. And I don't think one size fits all. I'm not
Mm,
qualified to say, well, if you can't run outside, go get yourself a treadmill or a Peloton. Those are expensive and different people are at different places. But
not for everyone, right?
yeah, and I think people have to find their own thing. And I do think it's line specific, meaning there were points in my career where I was in a routine where I would get up at 4:30 in the morning and I would work for about an hour. I would drive to school. I would wait until 6 a.m. when the rec center opened on campus. I would work out for 45 minutes, shower there, get dressed in dress clothes there, and then come to my office. And I was in that routine and it felt good. I had more energy, but then other things happened in my life where that routine was unworkable in the morning.
Mhm.
And if you can get in those routines that work for you, obviously exercise is a great choice. Um, I know it's counterintuitive. I don't exercise on a regular basis now. And I know it's counterintuitive for people who don't exercise, but when you exercise, you actually have more energy throughout the day. I know this from my own experience
Mm.
that I don't exercise now. I actually have less energy than I used to when I would work out every morning.
I was just thinking how you were reminding me of the truth that it's where you are in the developmental phase of your career in academia, how things shift. I remember when I was, trying to get tenure and trying to write more, and I came up with this idea, but it went out the window after, I think, 3 weeks. It was just not sustainable. Where I would go to bed, I would make myself wake up at 2, 3 in the morning, try to write, and then go back to bed around 4:35, and of course, that lasted for, like I said, maybe 3 weeks, and then I crashed because it just wasn't sustainable, and I had
Isn't
to
that
find another way to get the
an
work done.
interesting notion, though, in the middle of the night? Because you had the quiet, right? I mean, I'm guessing
Mhm.
no interruptions, the rest of the
Yep,
house. If it was assistant professor, you probably had little ones, right? At the
yep.
time, or maybe even one before the second one was born.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And so isn't that funny the things that we do, right? And I at earlier in my career when I was an assistant professor back in the Stone Age, right? When we turned in our CVs on tablets, on literal carved tablets. One of the lovely things my department did for me is that I never taught late afternoon classes because as a
Mhm,
divorced dad, I wanted to pick my kids up after school.
mm,
And so I arranged my life around my academic life around certain personal life situations.
mm,
And then as my kids got older, they didn't want that or need that, or they had a car to drive home from high school by themselves. And so, I mean, it does change. And, one size doesn't fit all, even for the
mhm.
same person over the course of their
Yeah,
career.
yeah, yeah.
Kind of to go back to, I think one of the crux of the issues that you were talking about at the beginning, I think it's really hard for faculty members to develop this ability to say no. And I think part of that is good old FOMO, right? Fear of missing
Mm,
out. If I don't say yes to this, will I miss out on something cool? Will they ask me to do this again? Will this organization ask me back? If I say yes to this now, does that mean they might ask me yes to something even better, more
mm.
lucrative, more exciting later on? And it's always hard to know those things.
Well, that in addition to, I mean, still that sometimes imposter syndrome, like, "Wait, you want me? Who? Me? You think I know something about anything?"
Yeah. So Yinka, may I ask, what year did you earn
Mhm.
your PhD?
1997.
1997. So if I do the math, hey, congratulations, your 25th anniversary of earning
Look at me.
your PhD.
Oh, mm,
25 years ago. Did you
did not
graduate
know.
in May or August, or do you
It was in May.
oh my god, we
Yeah.
already passed the month.
I did not even realize.
25 years. So, let me see how can I be gentle here?
I did some other stuff before I came into academia, though.
Sure, of course. Yeah. Made you even more well-rounded, right? And so if someone was a physician and they had done some other stuff before they'd opened their practice, but they were celebrating their 25th anniversary of having their MD, would you be comfortable calling them an imposter?
Oh god, no.
If someone had their JD, their law degree, but they'd done some other stuff
Mm, mm,
before they had taken the bar and started their own law practice, but they were celebrating their 25th anniversary, would you be comfortable calling them an imposter?
no. Mm, I get your point. I see where you're going with this.
So, and I
Okay.
I know it's really hard for us to self,
No.
I don't know, not diagnose, but self-label.
Mm,
And I've had this conversation a lot on
mm,
the Psych Sessions podcast with tons of faculty. And sometimes it's imposter syndrome, but I think sometimes it's something else, and I don't know what it is here.
mm.
Most faculty members are really, they don't want to brag. Most faculty members are very, truly, genuinely humble. So you don't want to talk about all the awesome stuff that you've done and the positions that you've held and the graduate students that you've trained. And, you don't want to, I think you're comfortable bragging about your students and maybe bragging about your journal articles, but maybe you're not comfortable bragging about you. Is that a fair thing to say?
Mm.
Yeah. And so the issue, the challenge, and it's nearly universal, is that when we don't promote ourselves, I think that's part of that FOMO, right?
Yeah, yeah,
We don't,
right.
and so that's why we say yes, because maybe we show our value by doing. We're uncomfortable showing our value by saying.
Mm. Food for me to think on.
Well, it's not just you. I mean,
Mm.
and please don't take it that I'm picking on you.
No.
It's just we don't have anybody else on the screen today, so it's just the two of us. And you know, th- I think most people are really kind about this, but every once in a while you'll hear a story about someone who is super kind and they go, "Well, you're asking me to consult on that project. I'm really not sure if I can do that." And the other person goes, "Well, thanks for telling me that. I'm going to go find somebody else." But wait, when, they were just kind of letting
Mm,
their imposter flag fly.
mm,
And
mm.
of course they're qualified, but they were just kind of downplaying their skill set.
Hmm.
Is there anything else you would like to talk about?
Well, this gives me something to think on. Yeah. Thank
Well
you.
well, how do you talk to your graduate students about this? I would imagine it comes up from time to time.
It's so funny. It does. You've put in the time, you know what you're doing. You'll be fine. Go off. So, yeah. So we feel it too sometimes, people.
Oh, absolutely. Like, and, when Garth and I started the podcast in 2017, I definitely had imposter syndrome about being a podcaster. I had never done it before. I didn't know what I was doing. I was uncomfortable talking on a microphone. I definitely felt it for quite some time. And I still have tinges of it now, what, 5, 6 years later.
Hmm.
But I feel more comfortable. I think imposter syndrome comes back when we try new things,
Yeah.
So, if you were to take up salsa dancing and you went to your first competition,
Okay. Yeah.
I think a colleague of mine is doing this, and his girlfriend has been doing it for 10 years, and he's been doing it for 6 months. And he talks about how he's just super uncomfortable. And I think
Mm.
that makes sense that he would feel imposter
Yeah.
syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For
So,
sure.
all right. Well, anything else on your mind there?
Well, thank you. Thanks for
You're
sharing
welcome.
with
I'm
me.
not I'm not so sure I'm not so sure this went so well, but I hope it did.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to make you feel bad.
No, 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 you have not made me feel bad at all.
Okay, never my intent. Yeah, it's a complicated academic world, and a lot of people are leaving it, that's for sure, to go off and do other things. All right. Well,
Well, thank you.